Hi, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for coming and welcome to what is Playing with Wonder. We have our brilliant panellists here today. They're going to talk us through some of the work that they've done. And I'm just going to give a bit of an intro to myself. So I'm Dulcie Alexander and I work for Arts Council England as a relationship manager, but I'm also undertaking a PhD at the moment with Royal Central School of Speech and Drama, looking at digital technologies and the use of this in partnership with Hoxton Creative Hub, a creative health network linked with Hoxton Hall. So this panel will explore the transformative power of creative technologies in fostering wonder, well-being and community engagement. From virtual reality, crafted from patient stories, to tackling digital poverty. Panellists will unpick how cutting-edge tech can connect communities, improve health inequalities, and inspire moments of lasting impact. Using insights from Hoxton's collaborative fun palaces and national networks like the NHS, we will discuss community-led innovation and its potential to address mental health, housing insecurity, and isolation. Together, we'll reimagine how technology can become a tool for equity, accessibility and wonder in creative health locally, right here in Hoxton in Hackney. So the panel is Jennifer Crook, it's Stuart Cox and of course Jenny Darkwah. We will talk through what we're going to do around these challenges and what work has been created to date. And then we'll have a look at some of the opportunities that enables. So to begin with, I want to just introduce Jenny. Welcome to the stage. Thank you. I'm just got a brilliant film to play. If we can play the film, please. If we have sound with the film.
Surgery, but I'm also the clinical director for Shoreditch Park and City PCN. We've developed what is a community navigation team, which has allowed us as GPs to be able to have a single point of access for referrals so that patients are getting the care they need by the practitioner that needs to see them. And it's worked extremely well, and this video is really to hear from those community navigation team their perspective on how things have worked for them, and also give an indication of what their role consists of when they do see some of our patients.
The work that I do is really personally meaningful to people, so it really doesn't look at what any other clinician wants for you, how someone else might manage your health. It's about what's important to you and finding personally meaningful ways to make sure you're doing those activities.
We've done a really good job over the years, and what we do is just offer a space for men to be men.
Lots of people come to us, we're able to support them into gaining specific skills in teaching yoga, teaching art, or gain general confidence in working with big groups.
We provide a free face-to-face legal advice.
It's really fantastic to have such a great service like the community navigation team in primary care, and having a single point of access to a team where patients can be seen by different members of a multidisciplinary team is really quite helpful.
I think the value of the service is enabling people who are often in crisis to see what their options are and then to take those next steps.
They can turn up to our session at Hoxton Trust.
This role has been really important and really valued by the surgery, just because I'm there to give people more time in a situation where people are rushed a lot, so it's kind of giving people time where they can feel valued.
Our Get Together programme, which is a programme that looks after men who have become perhaps a little isolated, has been nationally nominated for the GP Awards of 2024.
I think connections is the important thing.
I'm the young person's health and wellbeing coach. I think this service is really crucial for young people to be able to find their voice with these sorts of issues that they're experiencing.
With having a community navigation team, we've been able to kind of tailor the needs of the patients to what is needed within our network.
There's a huge need to continue groups like this to ensure that we are bringing the community together.
I think initiatives going forward, we'd like to see this type of model extended perhaps to other networks across not just in the city in Hackney, but maybe across the country, because we do think that we've got the beginnings of what is starting to look like an integrated neighbourhoods team.
I've seen over this past year and a half how people really transform their day-to-day life and their routine, and how they become more happier while attending our groups.
Seeing some of the people come from being afraid to meet other people or being isolated person that doesn't want to talk to anyone, if anything, they're smiling at people more, they're talking to people more, and it's like they've got a new lease on life.
It's so fantastic to watch all the work that you've been doing. Is there anything else you wanted to add to the film, to just share what's Wonder for you and how you work?
Yeah, thank you, Dulcie. Just to say that I am absolutely delighted with the team that I work with. They are passionate about our patients, and I do feel that actually by creating the team, working together, looking at the aspects of health that I sometimes won't have time to do in a 10-minute consultation, but having this team that's able to create that holistic approach to looking after my patients. And I'm particularly proud about the get-together group. So this was a group that was set up after, as a network, we kind of looked and realised that there were lots of male isolated patients who never really accessed care, and it was really difficult to get them to come to the surgery. And that create poor patient outcomes, health outcomes. And so what we decided we would do is create a group that was their community where they felt safe. And what we then did was actually bring the arts to them. So we had digital training, we had an art therapist, we had games and books. And then we started to take them out on trips. And one of the last trips that they went on was to a comedy club. And the feedback was phenomenal. So there was one gentleman who said, "It's been ages since I went out on a date at night."
Fantastic.
And another one, he said, "I feel alive again."
Yeah.
And that really touched me, because,
That's amazing.
you know, without that team, without that group, without that kind of being able to kind of address their needs through creation, I would never have heard that someone say to you they felt alive, and that sort of feedback.
Thank you so much. We're now going to move on to Stuart, if he wants to introduce himself, and some of the next couple of images are some of the work that he's been doing. So take it away, Stuart. Welcome.
Sure. My name's Stuart. I'm the CEO of Hoxton Hall. For those that don't know, Hoxton Hall is one of 5 music halls left in the country. And you can actually go there and see the work that we're talking about, because we're actually a venue for South by Southwest. So if you want to, after this, go straight away up to Hoxton and go and see the Rolling Stone magazine gig, please do, and you'll see kind of the area. Hoxton's really interesting in the projects that we do. Yes, we are a venue, we're an arts venue with music, theatre, all sorts of things, but we're absolutely rooted in the community of Hoxton. We're a place-based venue. And Hoxton's interesting because it's so close to the city, it's so close to this tech belt and this conversation we're having now. And yet there are areas of deprivation. There is more that could be done to bring tech and health together. So it's a really interesting dynamic. There's 3 projects I sort of think of that are developing in our work with the community, where I think of tech and I think of well-being. We work a lot with young people. We have music studios within our building, recording studios, and we often find that young people in particular, their entry into music is digital now. It is downloading, it is kind of, tracks and beats. And so music studio, music equipment, and to have free access to that is incredibly important. So that's a project we've been developing, and then they've gone on to perform, and they've gone on to do work and showcase their work and produce their own concerts. But the really interesting thing has started to develop is a conversation they are leading around young people and mental health through music, and through their music telling and their storytelling through music. They have, in fact, just released a podcast that they've recorded about young people and mental health and the impact of culture and the positive impact of culture. It's a really live, important conversation, and it's something our young people are leading on, which is really exciting. We also work with older people. We work with a lovely organisation called Hackney Circle. which is led by the culture team within Hackney, and I have to give a huge shout out to them because they are amazing. That works with older people, and you can see the image of a group of women dancing. And that was a project that evolved from a project we do called Strictly Hoxton, which is based on Strictly, and in our venue we had flashing lights, drag queens, and all sorts of things, and lots of fun to bring older people together, reduce isolation. And one of the offshoots of that has been a dance project, where this group of older women have actually worked with a Vogue artist. But what was interesting is that to build the group and for them to they got so interested and obsessed with the routine that they were doing that they started to film each other and share it through WhatsApp. And through that, they started to have ways to rehearse the steps and to kind of share and make the group grow. And it's been really interesting to see how they have just taken technology in their way and used it. And that's been really, really interesting to see. I think there's so much more potential there, which would be really, really interesting to explore. But again, building on Jenny's point, what they are coming back and talking about is that, again, we're using film to evaluate, and they are talking about the impact and how this should be available on the NHS. This is really helping with their health, with their joints, with their balance, with their coordination, with their mental health. And it's been very, very interesting to see how that is playing out, how this idea around culture really does impact our physical and mental well-being. And then the other thing I would just really champion that we're doing at the moment that has, again, so much potential to link with something like South by Southwest is this idea. We work with the culture team of Hackney and co-lead a creative health network called Hoxton Hub, where we are bringing together cultural organisations, community organisations. We have, and we also bring in kind of NHS, Jenny, into these conversations to see how as a community, how we can lead as a community in this idea around reducing health inequalities through culture, but tech obviously playing a really interesting part in that. And I also want to talk about, we have a developing relationship with wonderful Central School of Speech and Drama, who are doing an amazing project around looking at technology called PTech and how that can reach communities like Hoxton. So we're in a really interesting place, as not just physically, but also in terms of the work, to really be able to engage tech, I think, in communities, and that is incredibly exciting.
And just to clarify, PTech is Performance, Technology and Equity,
Oh, yes,
and it's
sorry.
a new lab that's been funded and about to be opened up at Central School of Speech and Drama. So exciting times to come that's going to inform this network. I now want to introduce Jennifer Crook and her amazing work. Here we can see it, Dream Machine. Over to you to let us know a bit more about what you do.
Sure, I'm just going to say, I thought you said you had the Rolling Stones.
Oh no, Rolling Stone magazine.
Rolling Stone magazine, not the band,
Not the Rolling Stones. So yeah, I'm Jennifer Crook, I'm the director of Collective Act, and we're the producers of Dream Machine. First of all, has anyone been to Dream Machine? Anyone in this room? Oh, God, that's
Great.
good. Good to see a couple. So I'll tell you a little about what the experience is and then how it relates to this conversation, what we're doing next with it. So Dream Machine is an immersive experience at heart. We've got a kind of wider program around it, but it's centered on this phenomena where if you flicker white light at a certain frequency on closed eyes, you experience this kaleidoscopic technicolor world behind your closed eyes. It's kind of like the brightest light show you can imagine, but your brain creates it. So we've taken this phenomenon and we've turned it into a collective experience. So kind of to walk you through it and tell you what you're seeing on the slides, it's in a kind of temple-like structure that's designed by architects Assemble. You're led in, you take your shoes off, you put your phone in a locker, so you're really kind of invited to leave the outside world behind. You're led into this beautiful structure, you sit in the round with 30 other people, you shut your eyes, and then all the technology is hidden in the structure, so you don't see any tech. If you see the tech, we've failed. And the most amazing piece of technology actually that drives this experience is your own brain. So as you can see, there's people sat here in a circle, and what they are experiencing, which you'll never see from the outside, is this world of colour and pattern and shape that's generated in response to the light. So what happens is the light flickers at a frequency which corresponds with the alpha brainwave state, which is the state that you're in when you're alert but relaxed. So if you're meditating, you're in that state. And the brain essentially matches that frequency. So it puts you into a meditative state without you consciously needing to kind of will that. It just happens. And so when people come out of this experience, they'll all have had this individual journey. They won't know what anyone else saw or experienced. So the opportunity for connection really happens on the other side of it. There is a space we call the reflection space, and at the heart of that is a big circular table with paper and coloured pastels, and you're invited to create some aspect of what you saw. Now, around that table, we've now had 20,000 drawings created by the public. And what's really interesting is that those drawings start as something that's perhaps quite visual, so people are describing what they witnessed, but it very quickly becomes an entry point into much deeper conversations about the emotions people might have felt in this experience, or where there might be commonality and difference. So really, this project is a big celebration of diversity, because every time you come into the experience, you have a different experience, and every person around that space that you share has a different experience too. So we toured this across the UK in 2022. We had 50,000 people through, just shy of. And one thing which really surprised us was the depth of emotional response to this. So I think one of the things that perhaps Dream Machine offers an invitation for is a chance to reconnect to yourself. So if you don't have a meditation practice or a space that you go to reflect, here was this opportunity, and it was on the high street, it was free to attend, where you can go in and for an hour or so just be with your own emotions. So a lot of things were coming up for people that perhaps they didn't have time to process in their day-to-day life. And so actually our team on the other side, in the reflection space that you just saw, were really, I guess, an ear to listen and to support and to hold whatever came up for people during the experience. So all of our team were trained in mental health first aid. We trained 92 people in mental health first aid. And I think what that taught us is that these spaces for connection and for deeper reflection are really needed. There aren't enough of these spaces in our cultural spaces, but also in our society. So in 2023, we took this and we developed a pilot based in Hackney, working with the local GP practice and our network of 40 different community groups around Hackney. And we ran this for 6 months as a community intervention. So we brought people through once a week, every week for 6 to 12 weeks, and we tracked their progress. So we monitored them at the beginning, and then we saw how their experience changed over time. And it was independently evaluated so that we could really see what it was that the experience was affecting, how it was having an impact, and how it might have a role to play beyond just being entertainment. And it was so powerful that people were coming through who had maybe been on antidepressants, and they were perhaps treatment resistant, so it wasn't working for them, or talking therapies weren't working for them. They were feeling isolated, they were feeling alone with the experiences that they were having. And here was a space where they could share their experience with others. So what we're working towards now is bringing this as a permanent site in London. So we're about to open a space in the next 12 months. And really, I think the work that we're trying to do is seek to embed this in a network of community health. And I think one of the things that's been really interesting hearing about the Hoxton Health Network is how you've got the perfect triangle of the local authority, the NHS, and the cultural provider all working together. And I think we'll talk about some challenges, but that's quite hard to get right.
And you've hit on some challenges already that you've already overcome with taking something so temporary and making it permanent, which is phenomenal. What are those next steps? What do you see as the next challenge on the horizon for the network potentially?
I think for us, it's about the step change that we make on people's lives. One of the things that we've found is that we've brought people together in a network. And then you have all these different conversations, but then it's like, well, what is it we're going to achieve? What is it we're going to do that reduces health inequalities? And that has really taken much more sort of deeper conversations with the health sector, actually, to find joint ways.
And do we have a vision? Are we there for what it might look like by 2030?
I don't think we're necessarily there. No, far from it. Far from it.
Yeah.
From my perspective, I think there are kind of three priorities that we need to kind of get right when we think about what the challenges are. I think the first one is about access. How do we make sure that patients that need to access these sort of services and the arts and the digital technology are actually accessing those sort of things? I think secondly, it's about educating people that actually these things have been shown to work. So quite often I'll get loads of patients who will come to me hoping that I'm going to fix them in a 10-minute consultation. And quite often I know that I can't. you know. And then thirdly, I think it's about getting the right people sitting around the table. You know, no one sector can do this. You know, we need the clinicians, we need the digital tech, we need the creatives, and we all need to be discussing what we actually need for the patients to be able to get it right.
And do you think there's anything more that we can be doing in this sphere that we aren't currently, and how we could work and who we could be working with? And I potentially have that to the room. If you're sitting here interested, wanting to look at what could be enabled going forward, then we're open to any conversation you may have after the panel, because you're going to hold some answers that we may not have even discovered as yet. So if that's an open offer, then absolutely nab us at the end. I'll be lingering, and it'd be great to hear more about what you may bring to this. We've got a few minutes left. Is there anything further that you wanted to explore? Otherwise, I can shoot another question at you, which is, are there any key ingredients to explore wonder and accessibility within the NHS structure to leverage opportunities for the community?
I mean, I think listening to all of this, it's like the answer lies exploring and celebrating like this work going on in non-clinical settings and really working with the community. So tech is really important for that, but also spaces are really important to that, and different kinds of spaces and communities working together on that. Outdoors, the environment. You know, Hoxton Hall is a cultural space. It has different spaces within it, recording studios, meeting rooms, all sorts. But we actually know that to be successful, we have to be working with everyone. So I think like space is really key, and then I do see this, as we're so close to the city, that linking with tech to figure out how we can continue this conversation across a whole place.
And can I ask, Stuart, how susceptible do you think the Creative Health Network is? It's been in existence 2 years now.
Yeah.
It's still flourishing. You've got over 50 organisations all signed up to work across this geography. Is there anything further that you feel that you're enabling at the moment that could be further explored?
I think it's figuring out like what long-term delivery looks like as a network. How do we actually deliver
and
embed and and sort of reduce health inequalities, engage. That for me feels what we need to do. So that would be what I say.
And does anybody have any final comments? Jennifer?
So I would say, I'd echo what you were saying, Stuart, but it's about the network. And, it took us a year to find the connections to be able to do the work that we did. And there are connectors, there are link workers. We couldn't find the connectors, we couldn't connect to them. So there is some advocacy work to do.
When we refer to link workers, we're talking about social prescribers or those in the community that are prescribing social activity. Sorry.
It's relatively new. So I think, it's building those partnerships and also, championing the work that we're doing so that others can learn from these brilliant case studies and attempt the same, I think, because we need more, not less.
Well, I can't wait to come and see once you're in situ and fully open and up and running. So thank you so much. I'd like to just thank everybody on the panel for their time and efforts for coming today. And if you've got any ideas or any opportunities of tech that could signpost us to the future and what it can do to help communities locally, we're more than open to any of that consideration. So thank you for joining us, and thank you to the panel.
Thank you.
Thank you.